Hello, welcome to Global Eye. I'm Parikshit Luthara. The war between Israel and Hamas has been raging on for 3 weeks now. Israel carried out another raid in the Gaza Strip with air support to prepare for the next stages of the war. Israel claimed that its defense forces struck Hamas military command and several launch sites. They also claimed to have killed Hamas commander Khan Yunis. This US conducted airstrikes in Syria and destroyed pro-Iranian sites, which it claims were separate from the Israel-Hamas conflict. As per Israel, the number of people held as hostages by Hamas has risen to 229. Hamas delegates visited Moscow to hold talks with Russian and Iranian officials on the hostage situation in Gaza. In a significant development, a Russian newspaper quoted a Hamas official as saying that the group cannot release more hostages until a ceasefire is agreed upon. A medical team with 10 doctors along with trucks of food and water entered the Gaza Strip through the Egypt's Rafah border. The United Nations said that aid is barely trickling into Gaza due to insane bureaucracy. To take this discussion forward, I'm now joined by Israeli columnist and commentator Gideon Levy. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Levy. Let me begin by asking you about the latest statement coming in from the Iranian foreign minister, warning of dire consequences and saying that US will not be spared if it continues to back Israel against the Hamas.
It's one of many declarations that are being spread now from all parties, by the way. It just shows how explosive and dangerous the situation is and how careful should be the next steps, because we might be, it might end with a war between Gaza and Hamas, but it can go all the way to a world war via a regional war. The situation is very, very explosive.
Right. You're saying this is a very explosive situation. What would be the consequences of a ground invasion of Gaza? Iran has been warning against it, many other countries too. How do you think the conflict could escalate if Israel tomorrow gets into Gaza for a ground invasion?
First of all, I guess that Israel will get into some kind of ground operation because it's quite committed to do so. And then the question is, first of all, how will it go there? How deep will be the bloodshed and the complications? Because nobody knows what exactly to expect from a ground operation. It's very clear the price will be enormous for both parties. And then the question is, will Hezbollah in the north join in? If Hezbollah will join in, we are facing a new challenge, a new game, which is much more complicated, much more dangerous. And then if this gets complicated, then Iran might join in, and then let's wish everybody good luck, because then I really don't know how will it end.
Right. That is the danger, of course. But in terms of getting the hostages freed, a few of them have been released. But do you think the securing of all the remaining 229 hostages is possible? What exactly is the way out? There was an important meeting that took place in Moscow as well.
Look, the Israeli decision makers try to spread the notion that Israel can get both a ground operation and releasing the hostages, a deal about the release of the hostages. This, in my view, is impossible, and we better face the truth. Israel must make a clear choice. What is its priority? Either it is releasing the 230 hostages, or it is about a ground operation. The two don't live together and don't go together. One will be on the account of the other, and we better say it now. My choice would be very clear. I think Israel should do anything possible to release the hostages. It's about 230 people's lives, children, babies, soldiers, civilians, everything. We should put this as first priority and do it in any price. Now, concerning the price, again, the truth must be said. If Israel wants those hostages out, it must release all the Palestinian prisoners in jail. Some 5,500, 6,000 prisoners. There's no other way. There will not be another way in a deal. But to release all those prisoners, it's a big price for Israel, but there will be no free lunch here.
There is no free lunch. You've also said that the two-state solution is no longer possible. What really is a solution going forward? Israel and Palestine have always had very stressed relations. Israel and Hamas have been attacking each other, but we've not seen this kind of an attack in decades. What is really the way out after this war concludes?
First of all, I'm not sure there is a solution, but we have to try. And we never really tried seriously. I think the next stages should be, first of all, above all, after a ceasefire, obviously, Gaza must open up to the world. This is impossible, inhuman, and illegal to put 2 million people in a cage forever. This is outrageous. This should be the first step. Then it should be accompanied, in my view, with some kind of international presence between Israel and Gaza. It will not work without it. Obviously, if we go much farther than this, the two-state solution was dead long time ago, because there are 700,000 Jewish settlers in the occupied territories, and if they are not evacuated, there is no two-state solution, and nobody in Israel will evacuate them. Therefore, my vision for the long run is only the one-state solution, because it's really about the regime. It's either an apartheid state or a democracy. If we continue with the present situation, it's an apartheid state. If we go for one person, one vote between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean, we don't have any Jewish state anymore. We don't have any Palestinian state, but we have democracy and we have some vision. This is still far away from us. But I think if we have a vision, at least we have some way to start this long journey. While with the two-state solution, we are moving toward the dead solution.
Right. Mr. Levy, do you also feel that US day by day is drawing itself more into this conflict? The self-defense strike that it made on targets in eastern Syria, even though it said that had nothing to do with the Israel-Hamas conflict. But do you think this could invite some consequences from Iran?
Yeah, also this is a very explosive game. I always thought so. Israel is claiming that it does so, as you rightly mentioned, for self-defense, for preventing Hezbollah from getting certain weapons. But finally, Israel did it in the last years, almost on a weekly basis. And as usual, Israel thinks that there will be never a price for it. I think there might be a price for it, and the price might come one day and might be very, very painful. I hope it will not happen, but again, we cannot do everything and expect not to pay for anything.
Right. My final question to you, Mr. Levy, and this is something that a lot of people have thought about. Where did Israel really fall short when it came to Hamas breaching the Iron Dome, breaching the Israeli security and intelligence apparatus, and carrying out an attack of this kind? Where does this leave Netanyahu, his government?
I think everybody, including Benjamin Netanyahu, knows very well that this government and this prime minister are finished. The only thing is that nobody is going to replace him and his government. It's not only about him. Nobody is going to replace them in the middle of a war. But by the time the war will be over, there is no way that Netanyahu will not be found accountable for the biggest fiasco in the history of Israel. Someone has to be accountable about it, and it must be the person who was Prime Minister of Israel for the last 15 years. This must carry a price, and the political consequences are quite clear. By the way, even within his own supporters in the Likud party, they know that such a fiasco cannot pass without political consequences.
Right. So that's an important point. You feel that Netanyahu must be accountable for what has happened, as he was the Prime Minister for 16 years. Thank you very much, Mr. Levy, for joining us with that perspective. Clearly a very dangerous situation we're looking at in the Middle East. We're going to take a short break here on Global Eye. But up next, a very sad and tragic story. 8 former Indian Navy personnel have been sentenced to death in Qatar after being arrested in the country last year for alleged espionage. We will be joined by former Indian ambassador to Qatar, KP Fabian, and also Alliance Law's UK partner, Muthupandi Ganeshan on the other side. Stay tuned.